Hey guys, IcyCat here. Ubisoft has dropped today the reveal trailer for the two new operators that we're going to be getting in Operation Steel Wave. Now, if you want to get your first look at what the new operators look like, then make sure you stick around as we go over everything next.
A true predator strikes out of necessity, not greed. And they protect what is theirs.
There is no chasm too wide, no wall too thick that will stop me from bringing you home.
Okay, so there you go. We have this great new trailer showing us what the two new operators look like. These are a little bit different than the leaks that we had gotten before, saying that the new operators were going to be called MELUSI and Odin, and in fact, it doesn't even look like they have the same operator abilities. People were saying that this was a debunked link at one point. Now that looks to be substantiated. As always, unofficial leaks should always be taken with a grain of salt because they are subject to change or they may be misinformation. It's just really hard to tell until you get that official word. And so now we know that we're going to instead have Ace and MELUSI. So let's take a look at this trailer and slow it down and kind of go over what we can see here that gives us some information. We begin with just a few flash frames that actually show content that's later in the trailer, so we won't worry about those. And then we kind of open up on this like South African savanna with this tree that's very prominent in the center of the image. And you can see a couple of silhouettes approaching the tree from the base of the ground there, and then these like echolocation waves kind of come out from it. Almost reminds you a little bit of something like maybe the echo blasts, but this is not quite what's going on with this. Then we cut to the interior of an elevator shaft with Ace rappelling down using a flashlight, and we get the clear impression that he's some kind of a search and rescue based kind of a character. So then we go back to the tree here and we see something interesting. The echolocation device continues to sort of ping or whatever it's doing, and then we see MELUSI kind of running in the background behind the gadget, which sort of indicates that you may not necessarily be needing to be tied to the gadget. In other words, you may not have to be physically operating the gadget in order for it to do its job, because in this example, it shows that she's actually moving around while it's in effect. This may mean that this gadget has an operation mode that is not dependent on the operator controlling it. Now we cut over to the bottom of that elevator shaft where we see Ace rappel upside down, using his flashlight to kind of scan the area. In the foreground, we have all kinds of wrecked metal debris. And then we go back to MELUSI again, and she pulls out a pistol. And here you can make out some interesting details. Her pistol appears to have what is either maybe a reflex or a red dot sight that's built into it. And we have gotten some leaked information before that said that a lot of operators were going to be getting this kind of an attachment going forward, and that it may even extend to many other operators in the game as a more common attachment that we'll be seeing on pistols. It's also interesting to note that she has kind of got a little bit of a ghillie suit thing going on with her arms and shoulders there. It's not a complete ghillie suit, it doesn't cover her from head to toe, but at least on the shoulders and arms we have sort of like a ghillie suit, sort of vegetation woven into the fabric of the uniform itself there that's sort of strapped on. Then we cut over to Ace again, and he turns off his flashlight as he leans in close to the camera, and we get a really good look at him. Now, we don't get a chance to see any weapons that he might have, but you can see right there on the center of his vest is strapped some type of a drill. Is this something that ties into this operator's unique ability? There's a good chance that it might, but we've also seen other operators with bits of equipment on them that don't actually relate to anything. For instance, you can see very clearly on Capcan's backpack, he has kind of like a spade shovel. You can see very clearly on Thermite's backpack, he has a pair of bolt cutters. I mean, that has nothing to do with what those operators can do, but they are interesting bits of equipment that are on them. Here we see this bright yellow drill that's strapped to his chest, and there's a chance that that could just be a piece of equipment that's unrelated to his ability, but then again, it may have some kind of a tie-in. Some people may also think that the flashlight on his head has something to do with the gadget, It is very unlikely that this is going to be an operator with any kind of an active flashlight system on him. He would be the only operator at this point in the game that does, and there's not really any kind of a need for it. There is no like darkness mechanic in the game that this would really make any kind of use of. While some games do have like flashlight attachments that go on guns, and if you look at the flashlight, you're kind of like, slightly blinded as though it was like a miniature flashbang for a second or something. I really don't think that's what's going on here. I think it's just a part of his kit that he's wearing, and it's not actually going to be something that's on and revealing his position or casting light or anything like that. Unless it's somehow something more than a flashlight, but again, I kind of doubt it. After showing what the attacker and defender's names are going to be, they then drop the information that we will be getting a full reveal for the content of this new season, Monday, May 18th at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. So that is right around the corner here. That is only 4 days away from today. We are going to be finding out a lot of information very soon. Now, there is also some information floating around that MELUSI's gadget has something to do with slowing you down. That echolocation, rather than being like a stun blast like Echo, is kind of like almost like maybe a sound-based device that sort of slows you down, which isn't that far out of the range of what Filosue's original operator concept was, the barbed wire that would slow you down and you couldn't melee hit it. You could, maybe take it out with explosives. So it would slow the push into a certain area. And it sounds like this may be a similar type of gadget. Maybe something you mount on a wall or a floor or ceiling or something like that. And when it gets line of sight on somebody, it may send out kind of like this repulsive echolocation blast that rather than stunning you and disorienting you again like Echo's yokai drone does, that it would just sort of slow you down, which does actually have a parallel to real-world types of riot control devices. There are certain things that they can put, they're sort of like these microwave or radio wave or something like that transmitters that can go on top of riot control vehicles, and they can be aimed, and they're acoustic, like sonic vibrations that occur in the body that actually cause the rioters and demonstrators to become ill and sort of disperses them because they just need to get out of the area of effect. This is not exactly the same, and obviously it would probably be much smaller than something vehicle-mounted, but such technology for riot control dispersal does exist, and it sounds like this might be something that's sort of in that vein. Now, we don't really know much of anything about what Ace's ability is or his loadout or anything like that. He does seem to be some kind of a search and rescue-based operator, and if that drill on his chest is anything to go on, he may have something to do with hard breaching, like maybe some kind of a metal drill bit or something like that. It could be something else entirely, but again, if that drill has anything to do with his ability, a drill sort of seems to speak, at least on an attacking operator, as something that's meant to, bore a hole into something or breach into something. So he may have some kind of interaction with like reinforced surfaces in some way with that ability if the drill is tied to it. Now, with all this information coming out very soon on May 18th, that means that we may be getting more information in the next couple of days as well. Yesterday, we got the reveal for the fact that the new season was going to be called Operation Steel Wave. Then today, we get our first teaser trailer, what the two new operators look like. That may mean we might get something for like a map teaser trailer or something for the house rework in a day or two, or possibly even other content. This is sort of a unique season reveal. We've never had one like this. There's typically a Pro League Finals event that this is associated with, and it's not really the case where everybody's going to like, a big stadium event somewhere and around the world and teams are playing and there's an audience of, hundreds of people and things like that. That's just kind of not the way this season's reveal panel is going to be working. So it'll be interesting to see the way that this one is handled because it is going to be very different from other season reveals that have come before it. After the May 18th reveal panel, we should expect to see the standard 3-week or so test server period. Again, something might actually wind up changing with that just because this is sort of an unprecedented circumstance with the current working from home situation that the dev team has. So the test server period may actually go a little longer or possibly even go a little shorter, although I sort of doubt that. But there's some chance that some timelines may wind up changing with that. There may even actually be an overall delay just because of the fact that the teams are working from home. We're just going to have to wait and see more information. And I, of course, will be covering all of that as it becomes available, so if you haven't already, please do like and subscribe. Make sure you click that notification icon so you get alerted as soon as new content becomes available. You can also follow me over at IcyCat25 on either Facebook or Twitter. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.